Her laugh cut the room clean in half. Sharp, public, designed to bruise. "Men literally chase me," my wife said, leaning back in her chair, eyes sliding over the table like a blade. "They line up for me every day. Don't you ever forget that important fact." 4 people sat beside her, close friends, perfect posture, polite smiles. I felt the moment arrive before it landed. I always do. The conference room smelled of burnt coffee and ambition. Glass walls, fluorescent light, 20 witnesses pretending to be furniture. My ring rested heavy on my finger, dull and old. She glanced at it, smirked, then looked away. I said nothing. My phone vibrated once in my pocket. A single message. Ready. No sender. No explanation. My pulse slowed. Not fear. Alignment. I looked at her, at the men beside her, at the thin film of certainty coating her face, and something inside me went quiet. Silence is what happens right before the truth decides to speak. 3 months earlier, betrayal introduced itself without knocking. I came home early. The apartment was lit, too clean, citrus cleaner layered over something warmer, something human. Laughter came from the bedroom. Not hers. Mine. My voice distorted by intimacy it no longer belonged to. I stood there with my hand on the door, listening to my life being misused. I didn't interrupt, I didn't confront. I let the sound finish what it started. That's how I learned the texture of deceit. After that night, everything shifted. Her phone never left her hand, passwords changed, late meetings, girls' nights, new friends with eager smiles and married rings. She grew crueler in public, small cuts, jokes at my expense, power plays dressed as humor. I understood the pattern. People who are guilty don't hide, they dominate. At work, her social circle expanded. Mark from sales, Luke from legal, Fred from operations, ZACK from procurement. Men who laughed too loud, who watched her when they thought no one noticed. Men with wives, men with secrets. I became invisible on purpose. Invisibility is not weakness, it's camouflage. I didn't rage, I documented. Phone metadata synced to shared cloud backups she forgot existed, location pings lining up like confessions, hotel receipts routed through team building budgets, messages deleted but not erased. Patterns are louder than words. I watched how she touched them in public, just enough, how they flinched when their phones buzzed near their wives, how guilt made them generous, careless. At home, I cooked, asked questions I didn't care about, learned to kiss without warmth, learned to sleep beside someone already gone. She mistook my calm for surrender. That was her last mistake. The ring she mocked wasn't jewelry, it was a key, a quiet symbol tied to a name buried in a non-disclosure so tight it suffocated rumor. I wore it because no one thought to ask why. I scheduled today's meeting myself. I invited everyone. Truth, need. Back in the conference room, she finished her little speech. The room shifted. Some smiles, some discomfort. She enjoyed it. I stood, slow. "I do know," I said, voice level, "exactly who lines up." Her eyes narrowed, amused. I turned to the men beside her, one by one. Mark, Luke, Fred, ZACK. The air evacuated. Color drained from their faces in real time. 4 men realizing the ground had vanished beneath them. 4 wedding bands catching fluorescent light like evidence. She laughed once, too loud. "What is this?" she said. I met her eyes. Those are their husbands' names. Silence fell hard enough to bruise. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I slid my phone across the table. Documents bloomed on the screen. Timestamps, locations, photos that didn't need faces to tell the truth. Her breath caught. The men didn't look at her. They looked at the door. I knew before you decided I was stupid. I knew before the jokes, before the ring comments, before today. She stood, chair scraping. You can't. I already did. I turned to the room. This meeting was recorded. So were the reimbursements, the misuse of funds, the conflicts of interest. Her father wasn't here. On purpose. The door opened. A man entered. Calm, unassuming. The kind of presence that rearranges rooms without asking. He nodded at me. I removed the ring and placed it on the table between us. My name, I said, is on the acquisition. Understanding hit her like altitude sickness. The men beside her sagged. One whispered a prayer. Another texted a wife he'd already lost. She reached for me. I stepped back. No, I said softly. You don't get proximity anymore. I walked out while security escorted the truth in behind me. Outside, the city hummed, indifferent, honest. I felt nothing dramatic, no grief, just clarity. Betrayal doesn't hurt because it breaks you. It hurts because it reveals how long you were already alone. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for apologies that would arrive too late and mean too little. Some people mistake silence for weakness. They forget silence is where strategy lives. And I had already moved on, long before she realized she'd lost everything.